हेलो एवरीवन। आज की क्लास में हम देखेंगे रोल ऑफ लिसनिंग एंड स्पीकिंग। लिसनिंग इंस्ट्रक्टर्स want to produce students who, even if they do not have complete control of the grammar or an extensive lexicon or an executive lexicon, can fend for themselves in communication situations. In the case of listening, this means producing students who can use listening strategies to maximize their comprehension of oral input, identify relevant and non relevant information, and tolerate less than word by word comprehension. To accomplish this goal, instructors focus on the process of listening rather than on its product. They develop students' awareness of the listening process and listening strategies by asking students to think and talk about how they listen in their native language. They allow students to practice the full repertoire of listening strategies by using authentic listening tasks. They behave as authentic listeners by responding to student communication as a listener rather than as a teacher. When working with listening tasks in class, they show students the strategies that will work best for the listening purpose and the type of text. They explain how and why students should use the strategies. They have students practice listening strategies in class and ask them to practice outside of class in their listening assignments. They encourage students to be conscious of what they are doing while they complete listening tapes assignments. They encourage students to evaluate their comprehension and their strategy use immediately after completing an assignment. They build comprehension checks into in-class and out-of-class listening assignments and periodically review how and when to use particular strategies. They encourage the development of listening skills and the use of listening strategies by using the target language to conduct classroom business, making announcements, assigning homework, describing the content and format of tools. They do not assume and format of test. They do not assume that student will transfer strategy use from one task to another. They explicitly mention how a particular strategy can be used in a different type of listening task or with another skill. By raising students' awareness of listening and as a skill that requires active engagement, and by explicitly teaching listening strategies, instructors help their students develop both the ability and the confidence to handle communication situations they may encounter beyond the classroom. In this way, they give their students the foundation of communicative competence in the new language. Integrating metacognitive strategies before listening, plan for the listening task. First, set a purpose or decide in advance what to listen for. Second, decide if more linguistic or background knowledge is needed. Third, determine whether to enter the text from the top down, attend to the overall meaning, or from the bottom up, that is, focus on the word and phrases. During and after listening, monitor comprehension. First, verify predictions and check for inaccurate guesses. Second, decide what is and is not important to understand. Third, listen or view again to check comprehension. Fourth, ask for help. After listening, evaluate comprehension and strategy use. First, evaluate comprehension in a particular task or area. Second, evaluate overall progress in listening and in particular type of listening task. Third, decide if The strategies used were appropriate for the purpose and for the task. Fourth, modify strategies if necessary. Using authentic materials and situations. Authentic materials and situations prepare students for the type of listening they will need to do when using the language outside the classroom. One-way communication, radio and television program, public address announcements, that is airports, train, bus stations, stores, etc. Speeches and lectures, telephone customer service recording are means of one-way communication. First, help students identify the listening goal, to obtain specific information, to decide whether to continue listening, to understand most of all of the message. Second, help students outline predictable sequences in which information may be presented. Who, what, when, where. That is news stories. Who fight number arriving or departing, gate number, airport announcements. For, that is function, press, that is number, telephone recording. Third, help students identify keywords or phrases to listen for. Two-way communication. In authentic two-way communication, the listener focuses on the speaker's meaning rather than the speaker's language. The focus shifts to language only when meaning is not clear, not the difference between the teacher as teacher and the teacher as authentic listener in the dialogues in the pop-up screens. The goal of teaching speaking skills is communicative efficiency. Learners should be able to make themselves understood using their current proficiency to the fullest. They should try to avoid confusion in the message due to faulty pronunciation, grammar, or vocabulary, and to observe the social and cultural rules that apply in each communication situation. To help students develop communicative efficiency in speaking, instructors can use a balanced activities approach that combines language input, structured output, and communicative output. Language input comes in the form of teacher talk, listening activities, reading passages, and the language heard and read outside the class. It gives learners the material they need to begin producing language themselves. Language input may be content oriented or form oriented. First, content oriented input focuses on information, whether it is a simple weather report or an extended lecture on an academic topic. Content oriented input may also include descriptions of learning strategies and examples of their use. Second, form oriented input focuses on ways of using the language, guidance from the teacher or other source of vocabulary, pronunciation and grammar, that is linguistic competencies, appropriate things to say in a specific context, that is discourage competency, expectations for the rate of speech, pause length, turn taking, and other social aspects of language use, that is social linguistic competency, and explicit instructions in phrases to use to ask for clarification and repair miscommunication, that is strategic competency. In the presentation part of lesson, an instructor combines context-oriented and form-oriented input. The amount of input that is actually provided in the target language depends on students' listening proficiency and also on the situation. For students at lower levels or in situations where a quick explanation on a grammar topic is needed. An explanation in English may be more appropriate than one in the target language. Structured output focus on correct form. In structured output, students may have options for responses, but all of the options require them to use the specific form or structure that the teacher has just introduced. Structured output is designed to make learners comfortable producing specific language items recently introduced, sometimes in combination with previously learned items. Instructors often use structured output exercise as a transition between the presentation stage and the practice stage of a lesson plan. Textbook exercise also often makes good structured output practice activities. In communication, in communicative output, the learner's main purpose is to complete a task such as obtaining information, developing a travel plan, or creating a video. To complete the task, they may use the language that the instructor has just presented, but they also may draw on any other vocabulary, grammar, and communication strategies that they know. In communicative output activities, the criterion of success is whether the learner gets the message across. Accuracy is not a consideration unless the lack of it interferes with the message. In everyday communication, spoken exchanges takes place because there is some sort of information gap between the participants. Communicative output activities involve a similar real information gap. In order to complete the task, students must reduce or eliminate the information gap. In these activities, language is a tool, not an end in itself. In a balanced activities approach, the teacher uses a variety of activities from these different categories of input and output. Learners at all proficiency level, including beginners, benefits from this variety. It is more motivating and it is also more likely to result in effective language learning. Strategies for developing speaking skills. Students often think that the ability to speak a language is the product of language learning, but speaking is also a crucial part of the language learning process. Effective instructors teach students speaking strategies using minimal responses, recognizing scripts, and using language to talk about language that they can use to help themselves expand their knowledge of the language and their confidence in using it. These instructors help students learn to speak so that the students can use speaking to learn. Using minimal responses, language learners who lack confidence in their ability to participate successfully in oral interactions often listen in silence while others do the talking. One way to encourage such learners to begin to participate is to help them build up a stock of minimal responses that they can use in different types of exchanges. Such responses can especially useful for beginners. Minimal responses are predictable, often often idiomatic phrases that conversation participants use to indicate understanding, agreement, doubt, and other responses to what another speaker is saying. Having a stock of such responses enables a learner to focus on what the other participant is saying without having to simultaneously plan a response. Recognizing scripts. Some communication situations are associated with a predictable set of spoken exchanges, a script, greeting, apologies, compliments, invitations, and other functions that are influenced by social and cultural norms often follow patterns or scripts. So, do the transactional Transactional exchanges involved in activities such as obtaining information and making a purchase. In these scripts, the relationship between a speaker's turn and the one that follows it can often be anticipated. Instructors can help students develop speaking ability by making them aware of the scripts for different situations so that they can predict what they will hear and what they will need to say in response. Through interactive activities, instructors can give students practice in managing and varying the language that different scripts contain. Third, using language to talk about language. Language learners are often too embarrassed or shy to say anything when they do not understand another speakers or when they realize that a conversation partner has not understood them. Instructors can help students overcome this reticence by assuming them that misunderstanding and the need for classification can occur in any type of interactions, whether the participants' language skill levels. Instructors can also give students strategies and phrases to use for clarification and comprehension checks. By encouraging students to use clarification phrases in class when misunderstanding occurs and by responding positively when they do, instructors can create an authentic practice environment within the classroom itself. As they develop control of various clarification strategies, students will gain confidence in their ability to manage the various communication situations that they may encounter outside the classroom. Listening is the language modality that is used most frequently. It has been estimated that adults spend almost half their communication time listening, and students may receive as much as 90% of their in school information through listening to instructors and to one another. Often, however, language learners do not recognize the level of effort that goes into developing listening ability. Far from passively receiving and recording oral inputs, listeners actively involve themselves in the interpretation of what they hear, bringing their own background knowledge and linguistic knowledge to bear on the information contained in the oral text. Not all listening is same. Casual greetings, for example, require a different sort of listening capability than to academic lectures. Language learning requires intentional listening that employs strategies for identifying sound and making meaning from them. Listening involves a sender, that is a person, radio, television, etc., a message, and a receiver, that is the listener. Listeners often use process messages as they come, even if they are still processing what they have just heard without backtracking or looking ahead. In addition, listeners must cope with the sender's choice or vocabulary, structure, and rate of delivery. The complexity of the listening process is magnified in second language context, where the receiver also has incomplete control of the language. Given the importance of listening in language learning and teaching, it is essential for language teachers to help their students become effective listeners. In the communicative approach to language teaching, this means modeling listening strategies and providing listening practice in authentic situations, those that learners are likely to encounter when they use the language outside the classroom. Role of grammar in learning a language. When we talk about the teaching of grammar, we should first consider what the instructional objectives are and to what extent the teaching is based on the student's need. Then we can decide what role grammar should take in a program. In a teacher training program, students are trained to be teachers. So, grammar plays a very important role. In this article, I will focus on what role grammar should take in language teacher training. There has been not debate on the role of grammar in second language teaching and learning. The most controversial questions are: should there be formal instruction of grammar? Should grammar be taught explicitly or implicitly? Let us first have a look at the role of grammar in language teaching in the past few years. Goals and teachings for teaching grammar. The goal of grammar instruction is to enable students to carry out their communication purposes. This goal has three implications. First, students need overt instruction that connect grammar points with larger communication contexts. Students do not need to mastery every aspect of each grammar point, only those that are relevant to the immediate communication task. Third, error correction is not always the instructor's first responsibility. Overt grammar instruction. Adult students appreciate and benefit from direct instruction that allows them to apply critical thinking skills to language learning. Instructors can take advantages of this by providing explanations that give students a descriptive understanding, that is, declarative knowledge of each point of grammar. First, teach the grammar point in the target language or the student's first language or both. The goal is to facilitate understanding. Second, limit the time you devote to grammar explanations to 10 minutes, especially for lower level students whose ability to sustain attention can be limited. Third, present grammar point in written and oral ways to address the needs of students with different learning styles. An important part of grammar instruction is providing examples. Teachers need to plan their example carefully around two basic principles. First, be sure the examples are accurate and appropriate. They must present the language appropriately, be culturally appropriate for the setting in which they are used, and be to the point of lesson. Second, use the examples as teaching tools. Focus examples on a particular theme or topic so that students have more contact with specific information and vocabulary. Relevance of grammar instructions. In the competency model, the purpose of learning grammar is to learn the language of which the grammar is a part. Instructor therefore teach grammar forms and structures in relation to meaning and use of the specific communication task that students need to complete. Compare the traditional model and the communicative competency model for teaching in English past tense. Traditional, that is grammar for grammar's sake. First, teach the regular ed form with its two pronunciation variants. Second, teach the doubling rule for verbs that end in d, for example, wed, wedded. Third, hand out a list of irregular verbs that students must memorize. Fourth, do pattern practice drills for ed. Fourth, do substitution drills for irregular verbs. Communicative competency. Grammar for communication's sake. First, distribute two short narratives about recent experiences or events, each one to half of the class. Second, teach the regular ed form using verbs that occur in the text as examples. Teach the pronunciation and doubling rule if those forms occur in the text. Third, teach the irregular verbs that occur in the text. Fourth, students read the narratives, ask questions about points they don't understand. Fourth, students work in pairs in which one member has read story A and the other story B. Students interview one another using the information from the interview and they then write up or orally repeat the story they have not read. Error correction. At all proficiency levels, learners produce language that is not exactly the language used by native speakers. Some of the differences are grammatical, while others involve vocabulary selection and mistakes in the selection of language appropriate for different contexts. In responding to students' communication, teachers need to be careful not to focus on error correction to the detriment of communication and confidence building. Teachers need to let students know when they are making errors so that they can work on improving. Teachers also need to build students' confidence in their ability to use the language by focusing on the content of their communication rather than the grammatical form. Teachers can use error correction to support language acquisition and avoid using it in ways that undermine students' desire to communicate in language by taking cues from context. When students are doing structured output activities that focus on development of few language skills, use error correction to guide them. Example, student in class. I buy a new car yesterday. Teacher, you bought a new car yesterday? Remember, the past tense of buy is bought. When students are engaged in communicative activities, correct errors only if they interfere with comprehensibility. Respond using correct forms, but without stressing them. Example, student greeting teacher. I buy a new car yesterday. Teacher, you bought a new car? That is exciting. What kind? Challenges of teaching in a diverse classroom. Knowing students are as a group and as individuals is an important part of good teaching. In recent years, higher education in general and USC in particular have become increasingly diverse. The variety of students is far greater and their needs are very different than in the past. This model will consider how to teach effectively in an environment of diverse learners. If you wish to facilitate the learning process of students with a variety of backgrounds and needs, the following points are important. First, treat all students as individuals with unique strengths, weaknesses, and needs rather than as generalized representatives or of particular racial, ethnic, or cultural groups. Second, employ a variety of teaching styles to respond to the need of diverse learners. Third, create an open classroom that value the experiences and perspective of all students. Learning Styles in a Diverse Classroom. AD in 1999, describing a learning style as the way in which we prefer to organize, classify, and assimilate information about the environment. That is, how do we like to learn? There is a great deal written on learning styles. Probably as many theories as there are written on the subject. However, in their most basic form, there are three main learning styles. First, auditory learners prefer to receive ideas and information by hearing them. These students may struggle with reading and writing, but excel at memorizing spoken words such as song lyrics. They often benefit from discussion based classes and the opportunity to give oral presentations. Second, visual learners prefer to receive information by seeing it. Typically, these students pay much attention to detail. They are less likely to speak in class than their auditory peers and generally use few words when they do. Outlines, graphs, maps, and pictures are useful in helping these students learn. Third, kinesthetic. Tactile learners tend to learn best via movement and touch. These students are often labeled hyperactive because they tend to move around a great deal. Because they like movement, they may take many notes and learn best when allowed to explore and experience their environment. It is important to note that the various styles are those preferred by learners. If we looked at complete descriptions of each style, we would probably see some of ourselves in each. But we could also probably identify our dominant style. The fact that we learn in many ways is further justification for utilizing variety of teaching approaches is so important. Understanding learning styles can help you create more inclusive classrooms where everyone has a chance to succeed. For instance, a student from a culture that teaches children to listen quietly in a classroom, or a visual learner who is uncomfortable with speaking, can be at a disadvantage when a portion of the grade is based on participation in class. Sensitive teachers can allow for group work during class to create smaller, safer environments for these students to speak and for their classroom performances to be evaluated. Some students will have unique challenges that make learning in a traditional classroom difficult. Examples include visual and hearing impairments, attention deficit disorder, mobility challenges, chronic illness that is such as that brought about a chemotherapy, and learning disabilities. There are many possible accommodations that help to create a productive learning environment for these students. It may be necessary for a student with a hearing impairment to have an interpreter present. For instance, a student with a chronic illness may need you to be flexible about the due dates for assignments. Below are suggestions to consider when you work with students with special needs. First, even though two students may have the same disability, their needs for accommodation may be quite different. Treat each student as an individual. Second, keep in mind that disabilities are not always visible to us. You are not required to access a student's health. You should accept authorized documentation concerning an individual student's need. Third, using many modes, written, verbal, video, slide, etc., to present information in one way to help some learners with special needs learn more effectively. It is important to remember that you are not responsible for identifying the disabilities or deciding on the accommodations. Tips on teaching in diverse classroom. Our students are diverse in their cultures and ethnicity, their experiences, their learning styles, and many other dimensions. And all of these dimensions shape who they are and how they learn. Effective teachers understand this and use a variety of teaching methods to promote students' learning. Below are some basic tips on how to teach effectively in a diverse learning environment. First, having a color blind classroom is probably neither possible nor a good idea. Trying to do so inevitably privileges a particular perspective, usually that of the teacher, and fails to recognize the experiences and needs of the learners. It is It is preferable to use strategies that recognize and capitalize on this diversity. Second, appreciating the individuality of each student is important, while generalizations sensitize us to important differences between groups. Each individual student has unique values, perspectives, experiences, and needs. Third, articulate early in the course that you are committed to meeting the needs of all students and that you are open to conversations about how to help them learn. Fourth, as teacher, it is important that we recognize our own learning styles and cultural assumptions, because these styles and assumptions influence how we teach and what we expect from our students. Being aware of them allows us to develop a more inclusive teaching style. Fifth, as you plan your course and each class, prepare multiple examples to illustrate your points. Try to have these examples reflect different cultures, experiences, sexual orientations, genders, etc., to include all students in learning. Sixth, help students move between abstract theoretical knowledge and concrete specific experiences to expand everyone's learning. Seventh, use different teaching methods, that is lecture, small groups, discussion, collaborative learning, to meet the variety of learning needs. तो आज की क्लास को हम यहीं तक रखते हैं, फिर मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट क्लास में। वीडियो देखने के लिए धन्यवाद।